Hello, Visionary family, and welcome back to another live with Lady Visionary. Hope you guys are all doing well. If you're new to the channel, please do go ahead and subscribe. If you're an old subscriber, thank you so much for returning. And we've had some new subscribers to the channel. So I just want to say a very warm welcome to you all. I really do appreciate the fact that you keep returning to the channel. I know a few of you asked already come into the channel every time but not yet subscribed. So please just support me by just clicking that red subscribe button. It really just does help my channel grow, so please do consider it. I just want to talk about the Africa Rising Investment Fund. I've had quite a lot of you donate to the Africa Rising Investment Funds, and I just want to say thank you guys so much. The last live I actually did a shout out, so I will do that again at some point, but I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. It really does mean a lot to me. For those of you who don't know what the Africa Rising Investment Fund is all about, basically it's an initiative which I launched for Rwanda. So it's for young people in Rwanda. Specifically, it's targeting the rural settings. So those young people in the rural settings of Rwanda who are talented and gifted and they have business ideas, but they don't really have anybody to support them. So that's what the Africa Rising Investment Fund does. Basically, those young people get to pitch their ideas to us, and we fund them anywhere between sort of £200 to £1,000. So let me just give you a little bit of a backstory, or a little bit of statistics with regards to Rwanda. Rwanda has a population of about 12 million. 40% of that 12 million are young people. Okay, and about half of those young people are unemployed. So this is quite a significant number of young people who are unemployed in Rwanda. So as I said previously, Rwanda is working hard at tackling unemployment in the country, but it's still a significant issue, and any sort of support that they can get is paramount. So I'm doing my bit for Rwanda by supporting the young people. I'm doing my bit by supporting young people in the rural settings of Rwanda. So I really appreciate all the support that I'm getting from you guys. It's been really encouraging. Now, today's topic is, how do we launch Black children for success? And I really think this is a very important topic. But before we go into that, actually, I just wanted to talk about my consultation because, many of you are relocating. I've had so many emails about relocating to Rwanda. Many of you have actually sent me messages to let me know that you've actually booked your tickets to, visit Rwanda for the first time. So congratulations on making that bold move. So many people have not visited Africa, and it's amazing to see that so many of you are actually taking that brave step and going out there and visiting Africa for the first time. And I look forward to connecting with you guys once I am actually back in Rwanda before the new year. So so with regards to my consultancy, so those of you who are relocating and thinking about investing in Rwanda, then you can send me an email. I will leave the details in the description box so that we can basically connect. I know we've got a few guests in the building. So a little bit of backstory before I kind of invite our guests in, where this topic came about from. As a mother of two young boys, handsome young boys, with everything that's been going on, I do sort of sometimes think, what does the future hold for them? And how can I best prepare them for the future? Being Black boys, as a mother, what can I do? How do I do my best for them so, I can best prepare them for some of the challenges that they may face? Because in my mind, I feel like, okay, there's things that I can do, but at the same time, I shouldn't be overly protective of them. With everything that's going on, I know a lot of people from the United States are very scared, even like as parents, with boys or with black children, in the United States, how do they navigate? And a lot of people have decided, or are starting to decide, maybe I need to take my children out of this environment. You've seen a lot of young families relocate to the continent because they feel like that's a better space for their children. So I'm really interested to know what you guys think about this particular topic. How do we launch Black children for success? How do we prepare them for the world? How do we help them to navigate through? So I'm just going to invite some guests. Okay, so we've got Spill the Tea London in the building, and Jenny. So let's add you guys to the stream. Bear with me. Okay, so welcome, Jenny.
Hi, Kerry-Ann. I'm so not camera ready because I didn't realize it was going to be.
Fine, don't worry.
But you can hear, if you can hear me, then that's all you need.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's more than fine. So welcome, Jenny. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and also you have a channel as well that you do with two other young women. So tell us a bit about yourself, and go from there.
Hi everyone. My name is Jenny Boating. I am currently a mother of 3. So I have 2 boys. My eldest is 7, and then I have a 4-year-old, and also a daughter who's 19 months old. I'm also expecting another one, which I haven't told Kerry-Ann, so she's probably like,
wow. Wow.
I also work full-time as a senior manager at a consulting firm. And prior to that, my background was in investment banking. So I actually had my first child when I was an analyst at Goldman Sachs on the trading floor. And prior to that, I graduated from Cambridge with a first class. So also very passionate about education and fulfilling potential despite your background or where you're from. So and then I also have a channel called Women Meets Motherhood, which I co-host with 2 other women, where we just have a platform really for women to share their journey of motherhood, which can look very, very different, but be very similar in lots of aspects. And so the idea is to share stories that empower, equip, and encourage other women on their journey of motherhood. So that's me in a nutshell. Also a pastor as well.
Fantastic. So, yeah. Oh my God, so much going on. But again, congratulations on the one that you're carrying. Wow, that's amazing. Oh, wow, Jenny. So yeah, on this particular topic, how do we launch Black children for success? Because I know you're doing a lot for your children as well. I've seen that on, your stories on Instagram. And how are you preparing your children? Because obviously there's been a lot around Black Lives Matter, and a lot of parents have been saying, do I discuss this particular topic with my children? When is the right time? And a lot of parents are quite concerned about the future of their Black children. So, and even myself, I've just been, a bit more conscious of the situation and how I need to kind of navigate that with my children. Obviously, they're very young at the moment. One is 2 and one is 1, but I still have to prepare myself for some of the challenges that we may face. And, how do I navigate through that? So this topic is coming from some of my concerns that I have as a mother. And I'm sure there's probably so many other parents out there that are thinking, how do I navigate through?
Yeah, I think it's simple, but it's hard because you want your children to be ahead, you want them to be the best, but then also in raising children, every child is different. And even my 3 are so different. There are lots of ways they're very similar, but there's lots of ways they are so different. And I think a great way to launch our children for success is probably trying to get to know them and figuring out their strengths. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses as well. And I think trying to focus on what our children are good at and helping them to use that to their advantage. So even if, for example, your child is very, I don't know, athletic, or like a little gymnast. They climb everything and do everything. Then give them exposure and opportunities so that they can develop those natural gifts and abilities and talents. If your child is very mathematical and logical, then give them those opportunities to be confident in what they're good at. I'm also a firm believer of that you can be an all-rounder. So I'm someone who, for example, is very academic, but I love sports, and I couldn't have gone through my education without doing sport, for example. So I also try to give my children exposure to music, sports, as well as, you know, wanting them to do well in their academics, but trying to just pay attention to what you can see comes natural to them and what they're good at, and using that as a platform to develop their confidence, so that in every area you can say, if you apply yourself as you have done in this area, you can do it. And I think that's really important, because it is easy just to compare your children to other children, compare them to each other, and have one view of success. But my child may become an Olympist and yours may become the prime minister. I don't know. But it's really, I think, important, especially when they're young, just to try to figure out, how do I bring out the best in my child? So how do I get to know them? What are they interested in? What are they naturally just good at? And how do I expose them to opportunities to develop that confidence or that discipline, you know, that self-discipline to want to train, to want to do something, but they do that in an area that they love. And I think it's having the time to be emotionally invested, to be able to see that, even when we're really, really busy.
Yeah, I think you've made some valuable points, like, you know, just around like supporting our children. That's really important. And, you know, you said invest time. I think that's a big challenge for so many parents, especially when, you know, you may be working full time. Can be quite challenging to invest that time, but I think it's good to kind of come up with a routine and sort of slot times in for them, because children need for me, I think children need to be able to see that you're actively involved. And, you know, some people, parents will be like, oh, just go and read your book, or just go and do that. Yeah, just make sure you do your homework. But they're not actively showing that participation and engagement, which I think a lot of children do need. But let's hear from, thank you so much, Jenny. Let's hear from Spill the Tea. Tanisha's in the building as well. I'm just going to unmute your mic, Tanisha.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Carrie-Anne.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. So I'm sorry, I'm not camera ready as just along with Jenny. I was not expecting to be on live. I just wanted to just join the platform and hear what everyone had to say in regards to how we launch Black Children for Success. Jenny literally has said so much good points. Some of the things, you know, that I so agree with in regarding supporting your children in regards to what they're strong at. I think that is important. I feel like every child has their own special skill and things that they're good at. And I feel like sometimes we have this old mindset to kind of force our children to become like the prime minister kind of mindset type of teaching, and forcing them to do things that is very unnatural for them. And, you know, in regards to me having one little one who is 11 years old, and you know, going through that process of learning how to kind of teach her, and going through the point of where I kind of was, you know, really felt a bit bad because I pressured her a lot in regards to, you know, things that she wasn't really that good at. And as time goes on, you kind of realize they pick things up, and we kind of pressure them quite early on in the early stage of life, when they're supposed to be enjoying themselves and making learning very, you know, fun for them. So like right now, I've changed the way I teach my child. I kind of, you know, see what she wants to do, and I try to make it as fun as possible. And what I've realized is that she now wants to um you know initiate learning activities with me, and, you know, I don't have to force her. It comes now natural, where before she used to cry, and you know, and she didn't want to do it, and it was just like a little battle. So I think, you know, I really agree in regards to just kind of, you know, supporting our children's you know their passion, and just kind of obviously exposing them to many different activities. I love my what's called my daughter joining lots of after school clubs and weekend clubs, so she has enough exposure to different children and what they do as well, so to see whether so she can explore other ventures if she wished to. But yes, I'm really loving, this platform in regards in talking about how we can do a bit better for our children, and looking at the future and how we can, kind of equip our children with the right tools to make them, be able to have a future, something that, yeah. Sorry, I said a lot there.
Thank you so much, Nisha, for your input. You said also a lot of valuable points, and I'm just thinking, and one of the two things that I'm coming up is, exposing the children to lots of activities, exploring, their wants and needs as well, really getting to know your children individually. And, talk about supporting them, but through looking through the research, I can say also that a lot of Black parents, they don't invest in books, they don't read to their children. Like, this is actually a really big challenge. Just want to hear from Jenny regarding this.
Yeah, I think it's when you have multiple children, especially time, you feel like, you're time poor, and so it is tempting, like my older son, to say, you go and read your book, I'll read to this one, and then this one you read to the baby as well because you can read. But I think it is just, sometimes you feel like you're time poor, but then there's ways that you can fit in reading. It doesn't always traditionally have to be at bedtime, for example. So my son, who is 4, who is like reading now, so he's just started to read. I like to read with him in the mornings before school whilst I'm sorting out my baby. And I feel like that's when he's most wanting to read as well. Like, he wants to read to me, and then bedtime he's not reading, so I have to read to him. But then with my 18-month-old, 19-month-old, I find that in the afternoon before her nap, I can read her a book, and that suits me better. And then she goes to bed, and I know at least I've read once. So I think sometimes just not thinking that you can only read to your child at bedtime, but fit it in when you can. And I think also just when you see the benefits of reading, not just, oh, my child can read, and trying to get them to read words, but actually the other benefits of it helping them with their imagination, it helping them with their creativity, and with their understanding of the world and their comprehension. So my oldest son, he loves reading non-fiction stuff. Like, he loves reading about like history or geography. He likes those types of books that are more about facts about the world rather than like fiction books. He just likes those type of non-fiction books. So that's what he likes to read. And so sometimes I feel like you're not reading because you're reading about South America, and like, read a book, read BFG. But that's what he likes to read, and he likes to recite facts about random things. So also giving them the space to read what they're like, and not, I guess, chasing the stages or chasing the levels or chasing the chapter books, but allowing them to read what they're interested in. If it's a magazine, like my son loves the National Geographic Kids magazine, like, because he loves those types of things. And so that's what he'll like to read when he's going to bed, rather than, chapter books. But then, so just, giving things to your children that they would like, and things that you may not necessarily like, but if they show an interest, as long as they're reading and they understand what they're reading, that's what's really important.
That's true, but why, like, statistically it says that the Black community, we don't invest in reading. I know you talked about time, but we don't spend our spending in terms of educational books, it's very low in comparison to, say, like, our white counterparts. Like, I'm just interested to know, why do you think that is? Because
can I say something? I think that in regards to probably why it could be is because I think we are so focused on making, I don't know, I just think in regards to those parents, we're, and our parents, they were so invested in, okay, we, in their jobs, and reading has not always been a thing for me within my family. So I'm not a person that likes reading. Um, my parents obviously were always busy working or doing something else. They're more, focused on how, their next paycheck really. Because coming from a poor background, I feel like we as Black people, we are coming from a, you know, for me myself, and coming from a poor background, and we're looking at, when is the next income coming in, and how I'm gonna obviously pay my rent, and how I'm gonna feed my kids. So the last thing that's usually on, a lot of Black people's mind is buying books, and educating our children the best way that we can. I feel ashamed to say this. I've never read a book. It sounds crazy. I've never read a book from beginning to end. Um, and it's something that I've definitely have been encouraging my daughter to do, because I think reading books allow them to kind of will allow her to kind of expose her to more vocabularies, um, expand her knowledge, and just kind of equip her in regards to the world. The more you read, the better it is for your knowledge. But I definitely think
But because you said, oh, you don't like read, but like children will see. I feel like you have to lead by example as well, because children will
correct.
see, like, it's what you kind of get them used to. They're not seeing maybe mum and dad reading or things like that, and we're forcing it upon them. So I really believe that we also have to lead. We have to lead by example. But then you said, a point that you made was interesting, that the fact that you know you people can be focused on the next income. But one point I wanted to say is that like, for example, in the UK, like the Black impact in terms of the amount of money we spend annually, it's about 300 million or something like that. And it shows that the Black community spend on so many unnecessary things that are mainly materialistic. So, and then when you look at what the Black community spends in regards to things that are unnecessary, and then the little amount they invest in, say, their children's education, and just to facilitate their children's development, it's quite concerning. So I understand your point about, the fact that, what you said, but at the same time, I feel like there's no excuse, because the Black community, I'm not bringing up the figures. Like, these are things that I'm reading, statistical evidence to say that this is what the Black community, they would rather spend money on the materialistic items than invest in their children's education. I'm not saying this.
100%. I definitely agree. Um, I think the stat is correct. Because for some reason we have the mindset of looking rich instead of being rich. If you understand, you know, within our community. Can
Okay,
you
I
hear me?
think, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I was saying that within our community, I find that a lot of people, they prefer to spend to look as if they're rich, like getting the Mercedes or BMW, instead of obviously invested in their kids. They think that the school system is there to do that, where it's actually our duty. I think because we have a school system that gives us this false illusion that that is enough for our children. Like, a lot of parents don't think it's part of their, like, duties to spend on further, educational tools. For example, I love to invest in my children's, education, and obviously
A little bit of
extra
an
activities.
end. I'm not sure why. If you've got any other apps that are open, if you could close those, otherwise we won't get the information.
Okay, give me one moment. You continue.
I think also, Kerry Ann,
Yes.
um, I think also Black people do, I feel like, still invest in their children's education. They want them to do well. And I think sometimes we limit books to only being like the bond books, or only being the exercise books, or only being the books that they can do maths or do English in. And we may not place value on reading on just reading books for the sake of reading books, unless it's going to help them with the 11 plus, then you can read that book. So I think sometimes we ourselves, we limit how the breadth of our children's education by being very prescriptive of, I need to just buy the bond books or the let's books or the whatever books I can see what they're doing and I can mark it, rather than I'm going to buy them this book because I think they might enjoy the story, and they might just enjoy the story and reading is good for them. And I think there's also that mindset as well, which I think may sometimes limit, or maybe a reason right behind some of those numbers. For some Black people, they are spending but may not necessarily place value on the things that will enhance creativity because they don't see the value in it. So I think that's also one area as well.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I do see that. I do understand where you're coming from. I'm just thinking, and it sometimes I feel like it's sad that, I think there's a lot of learning that needs to happen within the Black community, and they need to place value on education. And as you say, not just buy a book for them to achieve a certain grade in a particular subject, or I think that's when the focus tends to come, right? Okay, you need to get these grades, so let me just buy this particular book, as opposed to like investing kind of more long term. I just want to move on a little. Like as a mother, and everything that's happening with regards to Black Lives Matter, and like statistically, young Black boys are 4 times more likely to be like stopped and searched, or get into that kind of trouble. As a parent, like what concern do you have, and how do you think you can go about addressing that?
Hello. I think Jenny may have been put on pause. Maybe.
Okay, let's have a look. Let's see if we can add her back. Oh, we've got her back. Yeah. We'll just so if you could for the moment, so whilst Jenny speaks.
Sorry, I got
Jenny?
Yeah.
I don't know my point there.
No, I got disconnected, so I just heard Black Lives Matter, and then
I was just like, obviously with the Black Lives Matter, obviously it stemmed from like it wasn't really that, but George Floyd, the pandemic, so obviously everything erupted globally, and a lot of that brought a lot of concerns for like Black parents and the children, even specifically like in the UK. Black boys are more likely to be like stopped and searched, like 4 times more likely than their white counterparts, and even getting into that type of trouble. So what concerns do you have, like as a parent of Black boys? Well, you've got a daughter as well, Black children, specifically boys. And how do you think those of us who have those concerns, how can we navigate through that?
To be honest, I know that my children are brilliant. And I know that if you know my children, you want them to be your child's friend. So I think my main thing is that them being judged without being heard or being known, like without getting to know them, you judge them because they're Black. So you have a perception of what they'll be like in class, or what they'll be like, or what they would be good at. You just judge them because of the color of their skin. I think that's my main worry that I have for my children. And probably subconsciously I felt this when my eldest son started primary school, whatever, he's 7 now, so in year 3, so maybe 3-4 years ago, I started to have those thoughts in my head that I know that these parents may think this, and I have to prove myself that I'm not, this way or whatever. And I think that is the main issue that I have, which for me motivates me to try and push them to be the best that they can be, so that no one can judge them for any other reason than other than them being, the best that they can be. But sometimes, I feel like perhaps maybe I put pressure on them because I have that at the back of my mind. So it's finding the balance between giving your children, the self-confidence to express who they are, and know that it doesn't matter what color they are, this is who you are and what people think of you, and also living with that on, with your watching your shoulder, that what does that person think, what does that that parent think or that teacher think of my child. And so it's finding that balance, which is not necessarily easy, but I think also we as parents have to be confident in who we are and in the interactions that we have with other parents and teachers. And so even as my son's year 3, I still am finding that I'm navigating, but I also, try to let the teachers know what type of parent or what expectation I have of my children, and let them know that I'm my child's first teacher. So I know their weaknesses, I know their strengths, and I need you to work with me to get to where I need them to be, not the other way around. But then at the same time, I don't want them to think I'm a crazy parent who just thinks that my child's amazing and I can't take. So it's also just about self-awareness and working with a network of other people who want to help your child, and and trying not to have a negative defensive attitude on the outset, but giving teachers, other parents the benefit of the doubt, and showing them that you are privileged to know my child. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's complex, but it takes time as you navigate, primary school, and I guess secondary school comes soon. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. That's how I kind of view it.
Yeah, because I think a lot of parents will have like these concerns. That's what I'm asking. Like, I've had those concerns, and I sort of go through my head thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, because you've got one scenario in terms of a parent, maybe like, just need to cushion that child from the world. Like, I'll just cushion that child. But for me, I'm like, I don't think it would be the right way. You really have to expose them to the real world and some of the realities that they may face. And then again, you said it's about laying down those foundations, so those children know that they're brilliant regardless, and it doesn't matter about the color of their skin. They can still feel that confidence. But the reality is that when they go out there in the world, sometimes they may face these issues and it can impact them. And as a mother, I'm like, I don't want anybody messing with my child because my child is Black. You know what I mean? So it's just thinking about ways and strategies to navigate that through. For me, obviously, I'm thinking, well, I am going to protect my children, but I need to realities, and they're going to have to face it out there in the real world. You know what I mean? Because that's going to help them that define and build them into the person that they will eventually become. I don't know if Tanisha had anything to say about this before I moved on.
I do, and I do. Having now a 1-year-old son, I've got a boy, and as you obviously was stating some of the statistics in regards to Black boys being stopped more. Apologies, I've been trying to get him a bit quiet. I'm just worried a lot in regards to how he could be judged, and how the police could obviously approach him, and how would he handle himself. I think as parents, we need to. I feel like we as Black parents need to do more in regards to educating ourselves regarding the law. There was that documentary. Oh my gosh, when these boys were stopped and they were stopped and basically wrongly identified, and obviously their parents accepted for them to take a plea deal when they didn't do nothing wrong, and they weren't educated about the law, and they were misguided because of the lack of knowledge. So I think that we as parents just need to educate ourselves regarding the law, so then if for some reason our children is in trouble with the law, we can guide them and be there and be knowledgeable to ensure that they're not wrongfully put it into the system, because a lot of Black kids are put into the system because we as Black people don't know the law. You know what I mean? And a lot of these our white counterparts, their parents do know the law, and they have a lot of family members within the law, that can support them and make sure that, they don't get into the system. Because once they're in the system, it is hard to get a job. It's hard to build a future, because these type of you know, let's say, it tarnishes their reputation and employability in regards to their future. So yeah, so my main point is I really am focusing right now to kind of educate myself regarding law, and teaching my children the law as well, so then they know their rights, because we don't know our rights. We know that we have rights, but what are our rights? So we have to educate ourselves a bit more regarding that, I think, so then we can teach our kids.
I totally agree. Like, what would you say? Because like, I've heard talks about people saying, with regards to the Black community and our children, the system, the educational system are against us, the social systems are against us. Do you think that's just an excuse? What do you think about that? I'll ask Jenny.
Okay.
I think the education system, to be honest, is much easier than navigating the corporate world as a Black person. The education system, you get the grades, you move on to the next stuff, you get the grades to prove yourself. So I think actually for me, when I was growing up, I didn't feel that I was, maybe it's different because I was a Black female, but I didn't feel that I was inferior or judged because of the color of my skin, because I got the grades. Like, I just got the grades in year 6, year 7, year 8, GCSE. No one could tell me anything, so I just got the grades. And so, but that, I guess, as an academic person, that was easier maybe for someone who's not, they're not academic, but they're gifted and talented in another area. That might be difficult for them and may have a completely different experience. But I do think that what makes it difficult for Black people is that we don't see ourselves in the system, so we may not get exposure to certain books, or we don't get exposure to certain role models, or even the opportunity to really learn about the fullness of our history. And so some people are just not engaged in it, and perhaps that's why they just don't apply themselves, or they're not interested, because we don't see ourselves in the system, and that could be difficult. So in some ways I could see why, or where we are the minority, your children may have questions about them being the minority, you don't know how to address them, and so it can be complex. But I don't know if it was my upbringing that my parents kind of just said, yeah, if you just do what you need to do, no one can tell you anything. And I think that's what I took, and that's what I did. And I think the corporate world is a whole different case, because it's not just about getting the outcome, it's about networking and a whole other aspect of getting promoted. But yeah, I can see why for some people it can be difficult, but essentially I think the education, the way it is exam based, if you got the merit, you got the merit, and no one can tell you anything. So sometimes it is with our brilliance we shut down our critics, and there's nothing to say, but that's if you're academic, and if you're not, then you could be labeled, which
because that's a good point. Because if you're academic, you can potentially get through quite well, but also there's that challenge as well, where I've like statistically, like as a Black boy, for example, if like maybe you're in school and something goes wrong, you're not that academic, but yeah, as you say, you may be gifted and talented in other areas. A lot of boys end up in what do they call them? These oh goodness, I can't. It's not come to me now. Well, it's like, oh gosh, it's totally, my mind is completely gone blank. It's like these detention centers outside of school, but
like Prues.
Sorry,
are they called Prues? Like the pre units, no?
Yeah, like that, and these places are, but from my knowledge, they're not very good for. They don't get the best. They just throw them in these centers, and a lot of them don't come out with good grades or achieve much. And actually, a lot of them end up in the criminal justice system.
I
So
think
that's
I
to a
think I
lot
think
of
there's
Black young people, but both boys and girls.
I, I think that's true, and I think, you know, when it comes to raising children, it's a whole family unit as well. And so some cases may be complex because of family situations, or, you know, um, yeah, just different scenarios that are not necessarily the norm. But I think also it's, I think that's why it's important for us as parents, Black parents, to also allow our children to have exposure to lots of different things as well, because if your children, if your child could still be academic, and I still feel like children can't just be doing academics all the time. They need to be doing, like my sons, they play football like 4 times a week, 3 times a week, and I love that, because when they know it's time to do maths and English, they know that they've been playing football for hours, so they know it's time. So they don't even have time to watch TV in the week. They actually don't even have time. So my children only watch TV on the weekend, like a film. But I think it's so important to allow your children to just try different things, because even though we do want our children to have the best education and go to the best schools, and, you know, go to the grammar schools and have the 11 plus, but still they need to enjoy their childhood too. And sometimes that confidence building may come in that drama class, because they're just amazing at drama, and they are just amazing at, you know, creative arts. But yes, you still want them to do well in the education system, and that is still important. But that's fine. But give them opportunities to also have an outlet of what they are good at as well. If they are an amazing, I don't know, singer, invest and pay for them to have, you know, singing lessons as well, and go on tour and do all those amazing things to do with that talent, as well as encouraging them to be successful in the education sector. And so I'm a really big fan of extracurricular activities for our children, because I really believe that they learn so many character building traits through those extracurricular activities that spill over into their academics. I got 10 A stars in my GCSEs, not because I was studying all day, but I was playing netball, I was playing hockey, I was doing all these other things. So when it came to doing my studies, I knew how to be disciplined. I knew how to focus on winning, because I did that that I learned that on the playing field. And so find something that even if it's drawing club, whatever it is that they like to do, please, as well as the education stuff, find what they love to do, because every child is gifted and talented in one way or another. Every single child, even someone who has learning disabilities, still has gifts and talents, and you have to literally take time to find out what God put in your child. And that's really I'm quite, yeah, that's my strong view. Yeah.
You said the important thing, which I also believe, is that we need to look at each child individually. They may have different abilities and talents, and you know, just taking the time to really explore your child's gifts, basically. And I think that's important, which a lot of parents, I feel like they don't have the time to do that. So I feel that it's very important. But one thing you said also is about like your children not spending much time in front of the television. And that's a really good point, because again, I've stated the facts here. The Black community, the way our children sit in front of the TV night and day, night and day, night and day, it's very, very concerning. It doesn't help with brain development. It doesn't help with like even basic skills, like just having your children sit in front of the television day in, day out, when you could actually explore their different abilities, engage them with different just different things, whether it be sports, whether it be certain books that they like, and it's the truth. The Black community, our children sit in front of the television from night to day. Some of us, they never read a book, they never do anything else instead of just focusing on the television. And scientific research says that doesn't help with the brain and brain development. So when they start to show all of these behavioral challenges, and we're thinking to ourselves, why? Why? The evidence is there. I'm not sure what's happened, but I think Jenny, is it Jenny? Yeah, Jenny fell out again.
Yeah.
Hi, Tanisha.
I
What did you want to say with regard to
I
that?
just wanted to I just want to add, I'm happy to hear that Jenny had a good experience within, her educational journey. For me, I felt like, yes, when you do the exams and your essay and they mark it, your score is your score. If you worked hard, then you will get the grades. However, I found that a lot of my teachers, they would not really support me and guide me in the right direction. And I did felt like certain other people of other color got more support than I did. And I wasn't, I was encouraged, to, so, a D, E and a D is okay, and in my mind, looking at my teacher as a role model, and someone that's going to guide me, was telling me that, oh, a E and a D is okay. And lucky for me, obviously my parents was like, I was like, they told me that this is fine. They said, no, that's not fine, darling. You need to, you aim for A, and whatever you get, I will be happy, but you always aim for the A. And even when I went to college and I was trying to, become a midwife, and, I had lecturers the same color as me as well, who was, discouraging me, like, you one, because of your age and because of your color, it's going to be very hard for you to get into this profession. You need to, look at doing something else. And this kind of, wasn't really, encouraging me. And however, they were encouraging, even though we was all the same age, other people, because of the color of their skin, that they felt they were more, suited for the profession, because of they matched the description of what they want within these type of institution. So I feel like, if this is the experience for a lot of other people, black children or black, young adults, that is trying to, strive for better, is quite disheartening. And it just kind of, makes you, settle for less. And even like going up the career ladder within my profession, trying to, becoming into a senior position, I was discouraged by my peers that, oh, you can't get into this type of management and that management, because, this doesn't happen. And so I feel like, in regards to, we need to stop, change our mindset in regards to what we can achieve, and what our people can achieve. I think we sometimes set a very low standard for ourselves and our people, that when we're trying to, let's say, oh, I want to become the next prime minister, we start looking at each other like, there's, before Barack Obama, we never thought it would be possible for a black person to, in history, to be in the White House. But look, he believed within himself. His parents and, his wife, believed in him. And I think we need to, the same, what's it called? I want to say like this, just have that kind of passion that we can achieve what we put our mind to. And, if, for example, we hear people kind of saying, oh, you can't do this, that person can't do that because of the color of our skin, we need to just kind of, shut that down, and just encourage our people to do better, and that we can get into these corporate companies. And also, even that we want to get into these corporate companies, we need to have our own companies as well. So I'm definitely agreeing with Peace in regards to that. I know that she shared that, yes, it's good, that's a starting position, and but we should be aiming for our own institution, our own companies, our own businesses, and supporting each other.
That's right. I think I just want to pause you there, Tanisha. I think Jenny also has to go now. So I just want to say thank you so much, Jenny, for joining us. It's really been a pleasure. I don't know if you had anything to say. I just wanted to also ask about like, like when it comes to like investing, like leaving like a legacy, or, savings, like putting aside savings for our children for the future. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think that is definitely important. And actually, one thing, just a tip that I use just before going to investing for the future. I know that I've been saying extracurricular clubs and all these things, but they all cost money. And I know that for some people it's just expensive. I'm about to have 4 children, and I still value, you know, those things. I'm gonna have to pay for those things. But just a tip that what I do is that I have separate accounts for my kids that is literally like the extracurricular fund. So like I'll put like money in for the year or a couple of years. And so when they have this club or that thing or whatever, it just comes out from there rather than it coming out from like my main monthly account. So when I need to pay for one of them to do gymnastics for a term, I don't really see it affect us as a family because I've already got money for literally just the extracurricular clubs. And so I know that they are expensive, and it's very well and good saying they should do all these things, but when you have 3 children or whatever, it could cost a lot. And so that's just something that I personally do and I find helpful. But also, as I said, I'm quite ambitious, and so for me, my aim is to have an investment property for every child that I have. That is literally just like I invest in a property, and that one is like, okay, that's child number one, property number one. And so I'm halfway there when it comes to my kids. Working on the third one's it's my investments, but in my mind, if I want to send my child to a certain school or I want them to have certain opportunities, I want that to be funded by an investment that I have, which is in a property. So my rental income, I know that, okay, if this child needs to go to private school, that's them covered kind of thing. And then also, obviously later, if I want to sell that property and give them something. So I also have a child ISA for one of them, which in hindsight, I don't think is that great because it's like the money's locked there and you can't actually really do much with it. So personally, property is a great way, which for me is and my husband is the way that we are investing towards our child's future. But the best investment that you can give your child anyway, if it's not even money, is just investing in what they are interested in, what their talents are, and really taking time to see what they're good at and trying to give them those opportunities. So, you know, sowing the seed, even if it is that, you know, £20 a month club that they go to, but you know that your child is an exceptional exceptional at golf, you know that they are gifted and talented in that area. That is a great investment because you know that they will thrive in that area. And so where you can, obviously, I think it is prudent to have financial investments for your children where you can, and even if you can't buy a property, for example, but even just putting in an ISA, or, you know, giving them a fund that even if they wanted to do things like go on a trip with school, you can afford it because you've saved towards it. And those are the things that they're going to cherish, those memories as well. My parents were illegal immigrants when they came in the 1980s. They did not have everything, and I'm one of 5 children, and so they weren't able to give us, you know, everything that I could probably give my children now. But they gave me opportunities. They allowed me to compete with people that I shouldn't have been competed with when you look at my background. And so I think the best thing you can do is invest in opportunities for your children if it is not financial, for example. So yeah.
I don't know what to say. I think you've really hit some key points. You know, I mean, this is not there's not just one single bullet, and you do have to look at it holistically, definitely. But, you know, I love the point where you say if you can't give your children money, there's other ways that you can try and invest in them by, you know, exploring their abilities and also just showing them love. You know what I mean? Just showing them love, that you will support them along their journey. So thank you so much, Jenny. I really do appreciate your time. It's been lovely having you here on the channel. And
thank you for having me.
Some other time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Sorry I couldn't come on camera. Next time I'll be camera ready.
You're invited, always. You take care now. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Thank you, Jenny.
Bye, Tanisha. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
So that was Jenny. She gave us some really good nuggets for us to really digest. A lot of valuable points in how we can launch our Black children for success. I think I always say that now there is no excuse because we have a lot of information out there. We can research, we can network, we can talk to so many parents in the Black communities that can facilitate our journeys and help us with our children if we're struggling. I had to bring this topic on because I feel like so many Black parents need to hear it. So many Black parents also have concerns that they want to address, and hopefully this will be informative for anybody out there that's listening. We still got Tanisha in the building, still the T London, we still got her in the building. I didn't get you to tell us a little bit about your background, because you are a Black woman, a strong Black woman who is, you're a midwife. So just talk to us a little bit about, how long you've been a midwife and how that is as a Black woman in that sort of environment.
Yes, so I'm a midwife for almost 10 years. I'm a senior midwife. I truly enjoy my job. You know, just kind of being there for families and just supporting a mother and the father to be on their journey, counseling them, in regards to what they need to do in preparing for their newborn. And it just, a lovely job to have, and be a part of, all these people's lives. And I've, knowing that I've impacted and touched so many different hearts is amazing. Um, and I love that the fact that you have, done this channel, this platform live to kind of discuss some of the things that we within our community can do to just empower our children really. And I love a lot of the comments that Jenny had said in regarding exposure to exposing our children, and supporting them, reading to them, give them the things that we didn't have when we was younger. And investing in property is such a good way, especially in Africa right now. I love what you're doing. I think, as Jenny has said regarding ISIS, I feel like a lot of these things that the government put in place, like ISIS, is a false illusion to kind of keep control of us, and we should be invested in land and properties and different type of stakes and shares and all the different businesses ideas. We should be like dreaming big and just kind of
Hold on, listen to my top, and I gotta show you guys. Anyway, it says I dream big, my top. So if you guys are interested in that, please hit me up. I dream big. But yeah, as you say, like the Black community, that we've got to really step up our game. I think we've got no excuses, as you said as well. With us investing in land, in property, a lot of the times, the Black community, we're more like job hunters instead of job creators. And I feel like that's something we also need to. We need to shift our mindset and also teach our children how to become job creators, how to become the bosses. One final point, because you did touch upon something that was quite interesting. You spoke about the fact that when you were trying to kind of go into the career of being a midwife, and how, your teachers discouraged you because of the color of your skin. And I know a lot of young Black people have expressed that to me as well, how when they tried to navigate through certain careers and wanted help, they felt like they weren't supported as their white counterparts. So how did you overcome and push through these barriers to become a qualified midwife? Well, now you're a senior qualified midwife.
I think, it was just my passion and my determination, and my father who just kind of encouraged me, my sister, Lady Visionary, who really pushed me to the path that I've, embarked on. And if it wasn't for you guys and my determination, I probably would have been working in like Sainsbury's or something like this. Not saying that is a terrible job. We all need everyone has their places within in their lives, but sometimes we are pushed and forced into certain circumstances that we don't want to be in, because we're not given the opportunity. And thankfully, I pushed. I went to I wasn't very confident going to the interview, but I just I did it, and I got my place onto the course. I did 3 years. I completed, and I've just been pushing ever since, to become, in the position that I'm in right now. Even though, again, trying to become, a senior midwife, um, they weren't giving me, they weren't open up the door, they weren't opening up the doors for me, but I kept on knocking. And sometimes you have to keep on knocking because they will eventually have to let us in. So do not be discouraged, people, and also remember your children are watching you. Yes, if you give up, they will be giving up too. So we can't expect our kids to reach to the highest point of the mountain if we give up a halfway. So we have to be the role models for our kids.
I most definitely agree. We have to be the role models. You hear that from Tanisha, spill the tea. We have to be the role models for our children. If we give up, what example are we teaching them? And what are we showing them? We're supposed to lead the way for them. We are supposed to dream big and encourage our children to also dream big. Invest in their future, buy land, property, teach them how to become bosses. Now, I have Renelle also in the building. I also want to hear from Renelle. So, Tanish, you mute the mic and we can hear from Renelle. Thank you so much.
Hi,
Hello, Renelle. How are you?
I'm fine, Lady Visionary. It's a pleasure
I'm
to be here
great.
again.
Glad to have you in the building.
Thank you for having me again.
You're most
Um, I'm a bit late on the live, so I arrived like maybe 2, 3 minutes ago. So I'm not sure I got what everybody said, and maybe I'm going to repeat some points. I hope I'm not. But the points that I heard about like investing in the kids, making sure that they explore their talents, um, and we discover them. So they explore to discover their talents and stuff like that. So I agree with that, and but I want to say something that maybe is overseen is that we don't have to preempt success of our kids. So success for us maybe does not mean success for them, right? And we don't have also to act in the question. There is something behind it, as if there are traditional paths for success, like there are life trajectories that these ones are good, these ones are bad, and as if we already know which are the life trajectories that are excellent. And I think and then it will be like we are doing everything to push our kids towards this life trajectory that we have decided that they are excellent, and we are just like using all our resources so that they behave as we did. This for me is like forgetting that they are human beings. They did not ask to come to this world. They did not ask to come to this world as black people. That is with not the best cards in their hand. So um, if on top of that they feel like they have a mission to we groom them with the idea that there is a mission for them, a mission for success for them. I mean, I think it could be a bit overwhelming. My suggestion about that is that it's so this was the the these three things was the things that I think we should be avoid trying to avoid. The thing that I think we should do is, so you pointed it out, like first of all, love these kids. Like this is like the basic thing. Like love them. Um, we brought them here. Sometimes they are annoying. Sometimes they are not. Sometimes they help us not kill ourselves. Sometimes they help our families stick together because some people stay married because they want to protect their kids. So um, at least let's start by loving them against all odds. Like loving them like the first thing. Then let's recognize that life is uncertain and that they are going to choose their own path. So there is, depending on the society that you have, is probably 21, 18, 16, at which at age at which they will fly on their own on their own terms. So let's recognize that, and if we recognize the fact that they are able to grow on their own terms, then we want to put, and that life is uncertain, then we want to have them, on top of giving them all the nice cards that people said, investing and everything, we want to teach them how to think in bets, because I and actually this is probably where I will I'm my statement is coming to an end, because I wanted to recommend a book that is called Thinking in Bets, and it is a book written by a woman who has done. From the US, and I forgot her name, but if you type it, Thinking in Bets, a book, and you will find it. Um, the woman in question, like, she has done from academia, cognitive sciences, like how the brain works and stuff like that, how we make decisions. Then she went to play poker, and then she's now advising, like, venture capitalists on how to make decisions on where to invest or not. So this idea of thinking in bed is a very strong idea, and we should, because at every time in life, it helps us make good decisions. If the future is uncertain, we want our kids, when they try to fly on their own, to make the best possible decision. And in my experience, it is, you make the best possible decision when you are in a framework of betting, when you are taking risk. Like, you're like, okay, will I where you frame everything as a bet. Of course, you cannot frame everything as a bet all the time, but you frame most of the things as a bet. So I want to suggest this, like, help them. Let's love them, first of all. So I'm concluding. Let's love them. Let's understand that they are going to do exactly what they want. There is no, we can put some guidelines, but they are going to live their lives as they want, because they are full-fledged human beings and free for that. And because deciding is very hard, decision purposes are hard, let's try to frame it as bets. So if from the beginning you try to organize them into betting things, like maybe the if you have a better grade, then if you play less, what do you think? Is it worth it to play less video games to try and get a better grade in maths? Because if you have a better grade in maths, well, I'm going to buy you a even better video game. So this is like a bet that now it's in the mind of the kid. He has to decide, should I play this C-level game instead of studying and getting hopefully getting a better grade in maths, which will give me access to an A-level game, or should I just, like, not do it, because, like, let me play this C-level game right now, stuff like that. So this type of things.
I definitely agree with you when you say that, children, people will do as they want, but definitely as parents, I definitely feel like, obviously, we need to find a balance. We need to support the children. We need to give them guidance, but also give them room to also express themselves and for them to explore their different gifts and talents. So I feel that's important. I just have one last question, because we're about to finish up this live now, and I'll let Tanisha go first, spill the tea, go first. So, there's been a lot of talks, and we've seen that people are deciding to relocate to the continent. They feel like one way of trying to tackle racism and some of the things that people are experiencing in the West and America. Like in America, I think one in every 1,000 Black man is likely to be killed by the police. We talked earlier that young Black boys are 4 times more likely to, is it 40? Sorry, I think it's 40. Let me just double check. 40 more times likely to be checked or stopped by police and checked in comparison to their white counterparts. So, you know, a lot of parents are just saying, you know what, I need to get my children out of this environment, and they're choosing to relocate to like Africa. But obviously, that's not always possible. That's not going to be possible for everybody. So, just want to hear from you, Tanisha. What do you think? Hello, Tanisha, you there?
Yes, yes. I think in regards to um, relocating, I am for it because I feel like we are living in this kind of a false delusion that like the United Kingdom, the USA is the land of the free and the land of all a lot of opportunity or the land of happiness. I think each to their own, but I believe that Africa is the place where we can be our own self, we can be free, and we can, we this our land is so rich and fruitful. you know they have taken so much from us that we are blind to see that we still have a lot remaining, that we can kind of still revive, and it can grow into something so great. But we just need our people to just kind of, I don't, just to kind of wake up a little bit and realize what we have, because is we didn't realize what we have when we gave it away. But now we're educated. We should be knowing what we have. We still have something, and if you can invest in, and we all as well, one community can reunite and go back to Africa, and just kind of teaching our children that there's still a place that they can be safe, and feel welcome. I think that is such an important thing to give to your kids. I think it's a very scary move, but it's something that we have to really think about.
Most definitely, I agree. Just stay there for me. Just going to hear from Renelle. What do you have to say in regards to this, Renelle?
About the movement of relocating for.
Yeah, because it's a lot of people from the Black community. That's what they're considering. I've seen quite a few Black parents relocating. Obviously, a lot more from the United States to the continent, bringing their children along with them, because they're really put off in terms of what's going on in America and in the West. So they are choosing to relocate. Do you think that's part of
smart move? I think it's a very smart move. And I mean, if you're, of course, it's obvious, if you're in an environment where you're afraid of your kids, that your kids will get hurt, then it is good to move out of that environment to some place where you feel you or your kids will be safe. I mean, that is the story of migration. So it is not something new. It is something that will always happen. It is just that now it is in another direction that we are used to, because we are used to migration from the south, migration from the non-OC, non-developed with quotes, non-developed parts of the world to developed parts of the world. And this other migration from the developed with quotes again to the non-developed with quotes seems new, but in fact it is the story of human life. Like, so for me it is perfect. I don't disagree with it. I think that we have to, if it is a necessity, just do it. However, there is some blind spots that I want people not to forget. And I'm saying that as a Black person from Africa, so I grew up in Africa. And I sometimes I see these blind spots in my African brothers from the sixth region, the diaspora and the Afro descendants, which are Africans like the Africans that was born on the continent. So I'm not saying there's a difference. Of course, there are differences in many people, but not in that sense. But there are some blind spots that I always like. I was here once a few weeks ago, and I highlighted this difference, and I think it's good to say it again. We have to understand cultural differences when we relocate somewhere. Just as you imagine immigrants in the US, people who come with the lottery visa. Observe how they are trying so hard to merge into the ways of the society, right? So when the movement goes in the other direction, there should not be an assumption that the society should merge into their ways. So there should be people arriving should try their best to merge into it. If it is too hard, then some compromise can be made. But there shouldn't be an assumption of reverse on the basis of look, I bring the highest currency, right? Something like that. Another thing is that when you are relocating from the developed part of the world to the less developed part with quotations, is you have to understand that your comfort level is going to decrease. It's going to be less convenience because what we call develop is a world where everything is at our convenience. I want anything with Amazon Prime, it's in my hand. I click on a button and it is in my hand because there are all these machines that are producing the environments and that are working to make me have everything at my convenience, right? So when I relocate in these regions, in Africa on the continent, I have to understand that there is not the pack of machine it's way smaller. So the convenience in my life is going to decrease. And I have to understand I have to understand what I'm trading off. Yeah, and this is the trade-off. I'm trading off a place where I can be safer, but with less convenience. And then in order to integrate myself in the society, it will be my role to participate into improving the development of the local, just like you are doing, for example. I think you are a great example of that. Relocation to you and your family, relocation to Rwanda, as you have said many times here. I guess it's also the same ideas that you have, like safety in this part in the West, and also operations like the African Rising Investment Fund to like um, trigger development also in these areas. So there is a trade-off. There is like an exchange, and we should not be afraid of exchange. Right? We should not be afraid of saying that there is an exchange happening, and that there are some terms because sometimes there's also a lot of fanaticism. The word is not nice. I, idealization of what we are going to find. So I talk to some people who are born in the US, and I live in Montreal, and I talk to them, some black people, and they have this idealization of what they are going to find in Cameroon, for example, when they will go there. And I'm like, okay, this is not the lion, this is not a Beyonce movie. You are not going to go and become a king and a queen there. You can have like experiences, but your daily life will not be like that, right? There can be some tourist moments where you feel when the richness of African empire's history is exalted, but that will not happen every day. The most of the time, it will be a life which is way less convenient, and it will, and in the trade-off of the peace and freedom that you get, the people there will expect that you help them improve in their development, improve in their quality of life. So there is an exchange happening. And I want people to be aware of that. It might not be the exact terms that I'm saying. Maybe the place where you are going to relocate, the exchange will have another form, but we have to have in mind that there is an exchange happening. And it is an exchange within brothers and sisters. It's an exchange out of love. So not an exchange out of exploitation, which is the beauty of this type of exchange in my mind. Like the
Well,
other
definitely into continent, definitely need to be flexible, because then you find it very, very challenging. And that's something the message I've always sort of said on this channel, be flexible. You may go there with a certain attitude, but that won't it may not go that way. So just go there with an open mind, be flexible, and also teach. In order for our children to be successful within moving them to the continent, it's important that they're taught how to be flexible as well, because obviously it may be different to the environment that they're going to go to. A lot of changes, there may not be a lot of conveniences. So definitely, I think it's important. And also you mentioned, that there's an exchange between, the diaspora and also those on the continent to help sort of develop Africa. But Ronelle, thank you so much for your contributions. I really do appreciate you. Please do come again soon. It's been lovely having you here. And if you haven't already, everyone, please go ahead and like the stream. Please do share it out. There's so many mothers and fathers out there who this could be very, very informative for. So please, 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 if you know anyone who would really benefit from this, please go ahead and share it out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere, everywhere, all your social media platforms. That's one way we are trying to grow the channel, is by sharing these videos so that it reaches more and more people. We're just about to finish up now, so I just want to ask Tanisha if she has anything more to say to us, as we, a lot has been said already, and those of you who are late are going to have to go back to the beginning at the end of this live, because we got some really valuable points that we can take forward, and those of us who are parents of Black children, we are definitely we can learn from this live. So do you have anything else to add before we close?
I haven't got anything more to add. Ronelle really touched on some very key parts in regards to relocating. And again, in anything that you do, sometimes we have high expectations, but it's good to be open-minded in everything that you do. Be open-minded with your kids, allow them to be open-minded, because if you're not open-minded, you will never learn. Being open-minded and being able to kind of view things differently is a good way to kind of develop yourself and your children. But yes, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for having me. It was literally such an informative live, and I really appreciated it. It kind of also inspired me, and I will be getting my grafting going.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for your contribution. It is amazing having you here as well to share your viewpoints and analysis of the situation, and how we can launch children to success. So thank you so much. Much appreciated. You take care, and hope to host you on the channel.
Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, I think that's it for now. This has been a very, very informative live. I'm sure many of you have enjoyed it. If you have, please do go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're watching after the live stream has ended, please go ahead and make some comments down below. If there was anything or any points you feel that wasn't addressed, then you can kick off the discussion in the comments section. Guys, I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening in today. This topic is slightly different from my usual, but I felt like it's very relevant. Please, if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Also, again, want to talk about the Africa Rising Investment Fund, because Ronelle also touched upon that. Very encouraging. He said, what I'm doing is actually a really good project, and it really is a very good project. And I can't wait to see where it goes. This project is touching the lives of young people in rural settings in Rwanda. First, I will start off in a village and hoping to kind of expand the project to other parts of Rwanda. So please do consider supporting this amazing, amazing initiative. Guys, thank you so much, and I really appreciate all your time and all the love that you've been giving me here on this channel. Thank you, and see you again in the next one. Take care now, guys.